Okay, and today's video is going to be about using these 3D printed patterns and jigs for making sharps boxes. And so these boxes are based off of the Pitman drawings. So there's a couple different sizes. It's basically the length is different. There's different lengths in there, and then there is also one that's smaller. And so the smaller one is based off of this picture here. It'd be the one with number 2. That would be this box. So this box is 69 by 54 by 28 millimeters. So my cartridges did fit in this, but I had to really smash them in, and kind of deforms the linen a little bit. So this box probably will not work for most people. And I'm even using drafting linen, which is very thin. And even with that, I had a hard time fitting them in this size box. And so the other box here is based off of this drawing. And so this one was 73 by 57 by 28. And all the boxes, there's multiple sizes. So my boxes are based on they're a little bit wider. So this box, this would be the interior dimensions. So this would be 74 wide, 50 tall, and 30 millimeters deep. So I'm just a millimeter wider. And my Army Sport uses short cartridges, so that's why mine's at 50. And then 28 millimeters was the original, and so I'm 2 millimeters taller on my boxes. And so the other reason I did that was because it also will fit my 58 Hazard cartridges. So they fit, I only have 5 in here now, but it will fit 10 5 across and 2 high of the 58 caliber cartridges or bullets. So the 58 caliber will also fit within this box. So I kind of found a happy medium where it works for both of my different types of cartridges. And so, and these are made with drafting linen. And so just measure your cartridges lined up. If they're wider than 74 millimeters, these boxes probably will not work for you. So this is a very thin, fine linen. So a lot of the modern linens are thicker, and so if you add that all up over 5 cartridges, you might end up be outside 74 millimeters. And so the other thing here is, if you don't have a 3D printer, on my printables page, you can find all these files, printable files, on my printables page. There also is a PDF. So if you don't have a 3D printer, you can print this out, glue it to a piece of cardboard, and cut it out. So these patterns here, this printable PDF is exactly the same as these. So it'd be the lid and the... So if you just want the patterns, they're available there on the printables page. So you can just make them by hand if you want. And so, and then there also is labels. There's 2 different size labels. There's a large one like this for this box, and there's a smaller one that's a slightly shorter for this box. So they're both on there. And the boxes, there's also multiple size boxes. Basically, the only difference is it would be this length here. And so I have from 50 to 58 millimeters long. So there is a 50, a 52, 54. It's every 2 millimeters up to 58 millimeters in length for this box. So, but the width and the heights are all the same. So they're all available also on the printables page. And so for these, I'm not going to show how to cut these out, cut these blanks out during my other video using this notcher. And so after you cut your patterns out like this, there'll be a lid and the bottom pattern. So after they're cut out, you want to use these scoring jigs. There's one for the top and one for the bottom. And the top dimensions here are, so basically the size here is basically, you can see the lid is basically 2 widths of your cardboard bigger. And so this cardboard is 30 thousandths thick, with it, which is in spec of the original boxes. And so that allows for a snug fit of the lid. And so if you're using a different size cardboard, it should work. It might be a little bit looser or tighter fitting, but that's 30 thousandths I use for the card. And this is actually called chipboard. So if you're looking it up, it's not cardboard, it's called chipboard. And so I'm going to score one here to show how this scoring jig works. And it's the same for the top and bottom. And so you kind of just fit the 2 pieces together. There's an inner part and an outer part. And that's how they're labeled on the printables page. There's an outer scoring jig and an inner scoring jig like this. And that just fits over top of your pattern you cut and locks in. Drop in your centerpiece and kind of pull it into the corner like this. So I usually use my finger and hand like that and kind of pull it in one direction. And there's a gap here that will open up. This will be about 1/2 millimeter wide to fit an X-Acto knife blade. And so you just carefully score these 2 sides, rotate 180 degrees, and then pull this into the corner. You just cut here, and then you're done scoring. So you would do the top and the bottom the same way. And then there's also, I call these folding blocks. And so these are used to aid in folding and wrapping the box itself. And so normally what I would do is just take this and kind of fold it over my form like that. And that keeps it square and straight. And I don't always print the lid. The lid is an optional thing. You don't really need this one. It just comes in handy if you want to keep the glue off the bottom when you make the top lid, when you do the outer wrapper, which I'll show later. That's the only reason I would print this. If you're having problems with the lid sticking to the bottom when you make the lid. So this is optional. You don't need this. Save the plastic and the print time. And then if you don't have this, you can just take it to the edge of your desk or workbench and kind of crease it over the edge. Because this stuff has a grain to it. Like these 2 sides here fold real easy. And these 2, and the cross grain fold is always kind of lumpy like. So to eliminate that, it's better to fold it over the edge of the table or around your block. So after you fold both of the top and the bottom, the next step is to wrap this part here with an outer wrapper. And for that, what I do is, if you look on my patterns here, so my outer wrapper here is a 1/2 inch. Basically, it's a 1/2 inch bigger than my pattern. So it'd be a 1/2 inch length and width here. And that's what this OW stands for. It's for outer wrapper. So this one is 6.5 by 5.5. And this one here is 5 by 4. So that's just a 1/2 inch bigger. Or it'd be actually it's more than a 1/2 inch. It's an inch in total. So it's a 1/2 inch on each side, an inch total for the paper size. So you place that in the corner, there should be like an inch here and an inch here. And if you place it in the corner, it should be an inch and an inch. And so the next step here is to wrap it and start with the bottom. And I do it a particular way here so I don't get glue on my scissors. And so just do the center of the long sides here of the cardboard. I just kind of go over the center like that. And then take my rubbing block and just kind of, or my forming block here, just kind of rub this down tight. Now, if you don't have a printer, you can make them out of wood. So this was one of my first ones I experimented with, and so just cut a piece of wood, be the measurements there, the 74 by 30 by 50, or whatever size box you pick. And so that would be your forming block. And then these blocks also have, there's a large hole and a small hole, and that creates a lip so you can grip your fingers to pull the block out. So always have the small holes facing up out of the box. And so after you rub that down, you need to cut slots or slice here on the short. I always do the short sides. So you kind of just go into the corner. Into the corner. Oh, get it straight here. And then you do the next one over here. And then when you fold, so this block gets placed here like this, and just kind of test it. If these sides overlap, you can take and kind of, you want to make sure these don't overlap, and then just cut so you get a general idea of where you need to trim these. So, and this don't have to be exact, I just kind of eyeball it. So you kind of go like that. I usually make them short. So now when you fold these over like this, actually it'll be like this. So here you got a small gap there, which is good. And I just kind of just randomly do it. I really don't measure nothing with that. And so the next step is here, you'll need to place a plastic here to glue the rest of it here. And I fold those short sides in and glue the rest of it here. So I kind of something like that. And the reason I do that is so if you were to glue the whole thing and then trim these ends off, these would be stuck to your scissors like this, or they'll fall on the table and get stuck to your table. That way, you know, when you cut them off like this, you can just sweep them out of the way. If you do multiples of these, you'll end up with a bunch of little pieces like this stuck all over your table. And so that's the reason why I glue this after instead of before. And so the next step is you put your block in with the small holes up. And you fold the sides up and the end in, and just take your fingers kind of. So this really speeds up wrapping. And then take your end here, kind of pull this up. Kind of pull it up tight. Do the same thing on this side. And these blocks really help a lot when it comes to wrapping these compared to without them. And so you'll end up with something like this. Actually, if sometimes it'll stick to the table like that, it's really nice. So basically you pull your block out and you end up something like this. just push your sides in like that, and then use the same block here to rub down your where your glue seams were. And so there's the bottom, that's done. The next step here is you can use the bottom to make the top. So this would technically be your forming block, or you can use this one like this, the same way. So I'm just going to show how I use this box to wrap this one. And so that's the same way. You just kind of go like this. And that's where this comes in handy. Normally, I guess, let me just do it the way I would normally do it. Yeah, so you just take this, rub it down. And so, do the same thing. And so since the sides here are longer than it is high proportionally, you don't need to trim the extra piece off. So basically, when you're done here, you got to put this back in your box. And so when you do it with the next step here, you run the risk of gluing this box to this lid. You just have to be careful with it. So basically, it is you take your box and you set it in there like this. Just don't let the glue dry at any step of the process here. And so if you work quick enough, you should be okay. And try to keep all the pressure on, like when you're rubbing it down, just make sure you rub the bottom on the lid, not the top part here, or you'll end up gluing it together in this step. So there's that. And so hopefully this will come apart. So here I run the risk of putting some glue on this part of the box by using this step, by doing it that way rather than this. And basically that's the same way. And it's best to rub all your seams down, that way the box fits real nice and smooth. And so there's a nice fitting box. And the next step is to put your label on. And so I usually let them dry like this because there is a little bit of glue on there, and sometimes the lids will get glued on. So just let them dry like that. And so that's about it. Thanks for watching.